Hi, Honky. Okay. Igor, thanks for coming back a second time.
Well, I'm
And
glad to be
today,
here, Jack.
oh, yeah, well, me and Honky, the White Devil, we're happy to have you. Let me go
I
ahead and
agree with you. I agree with you both.
he's probably going to be meowing loudly through all of this. But I wanted Igor to, and I think he's very interested to share concepts for what would you
Over
call
Unity
it?
device.
For
Over
over
Unity device,
for energy solutions. And so
which actually can work in practical, real life practical terms.
yes, and I happen to be in agreement with you there. Did you want to jump right into it, or do you want to chit chat for a little bit?
Okay. First, there is a funny anecdote about this guy who was making movies, Quentin Tarantino. Before he started making the movies, he went and found himself a job in a video store. So he spent a couple of years over there watching everything he could put his hand on. After that, he started making the movies. Well, following that example, I spent more than 5 years searching on internet, searching on YouTube, speaking with all kind of different characters. And I came to the conclusion that the over Unity device is actually not a big deal to make. Actually, you have in this moment in the world more than 5,000 patents for different kind of over Unity device. The problem is that simply they cannot go from that conceptual prototyping phase into the real life for more than one reason. We spoke earlier about it, but I'm gonna now repeat what we said. You see, if you want in your, for example, in your flat to have one generator, you need to follow some rules which are already late. You need in USA, for example, in most of the states, you need 110 volts and 50 hertz, right? If you don't obey that very simple, rule, what is going to happen is that all devices you try to use will simply either malfunction or they're simply going to burn. And that's the main problem over here. You need to make device which can always provide 110 volts, well, in your case, with 50 hertz. And unfortunately, till today, I have not found such a device, so I decided to try to make one myself.
So practical over Unity is really the problem.
Yes, unfortunately, yes, because you have lots of enthusiasts, but they rarely communicate between each other and helping themselves. I mean, I have seen, well, at least 50, maybe even more, you know, concepts which are actually producing, actually they are giving more output than input, but in practical terms, they are simply useless because they are simply not compatible with the devices you already have. Your phone charger, your freezer, your TV, well, basically everything.
You know what's interesting, Igor, is you would find a home in the electric universe community where the the paradigm doesn't exclude, as Wall calls them, backyard tinkerers and anybody with a practical idea or concept.
Now, you see,
Uh,
I am a big fan of electric universe theory. But I'm afraid that there is much of the talk and almost no walk, you know?
Well, sadly, it's hard to get these things to disseminate past a certain point of enlightened people.
Well, let's start and let's try to change that a bit, right?
Amen.
Amen, brother. Okay. So, this... Okay, now I will start sharing my screen, okay, so people can see what the hell this guy is talking about, right?
Oh, yeah. Please do. Take your time, man.
Okay. Recently, I stumbled upon this video on YouTube from Tin Manpower.
Okay. I'm not seeing your screen share.
Just 1 second. Well, I do believe that. Okay, does it work now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I'm gonna just for a brief couple of seconds let the people see that this device actually does work. Okay, let me rewind a bit. So basically you have two coils, and on this spinning wheel you have 4 neodymium magnets. These coils are made in such a fashion that they are producing dragging force, which interacts with permanent magnets, and basically that force that is Lorentz force, which is spinning the whole construct. I like this idea very much, but I found it that it's not efficient enough for one serious device. So I have tried to change that. So basically I came with this concept. Now this is a open loop. It consists of 3 coils inside, which most probably will be connected in series, and they are encased in metal shielding. So basically you are forcing electromagnetic field only where you need them. Now for that I will show you the spinning disc. Basically in outer rim there is lots of magnets, and with that encasing on 3 points that electromagnetic field will interact with this wheel many times.
So you're using a sort of a magnetic shielding to compress the flux, is that right?
Exactly. That's a really proper term. Now, as you hopefully you can see, the coil will more or less envelop outer rim of the spinning disc. What we're gonna achieve with that is that, okay, just 1 second please. Let me make this thing a bit better so people can see what I'm talking about. So we're gonna achieve the spinning of the wheel, and the inner part you have set of magnets as well, which gonna circulate in front of the coils, and basically this part in the middle is generator. The whole concept basically is using some very old technologies like flywheel. You remember that I don't know, 150, 200 years ago, every machine has a huge flywheel, and once it gets its inertia, you need just a little input power to keep on running it, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna achieve with this this coil. Basically, you are covering 9 of 10 of the surface of the spinning wheel. So more or less everything what you put inside of those coils is going to be maximally used to create a pushing force.
So you get more torque by having the center
Yes.
generator.
Yes, it's going to create quite decent torque. Basically, that means that this generator will be able to produce quite substantial amount of kilowatts. Rough estimate says that as it is, this can produce one phase 3 kilowatts, which is more than enough for everyday household usage. Especially if you go light on your electric stove, right? But the beauty of this design is that you can scale it up without big problems. Basically, this is 400 by 400 millimeters. So if you create this 600 by 600, you can install bigger flywheel, you can install bigger coils and more coils, obviously more neodymium magnets inside, but you're gonna be able to, let's say, double the output, let's say 6 kilowatt. Obviously, I'm talking over here only in theory. Hopefully, the people who understand the problem will show up, and they're gonna join this very interesting project.
So you're saying if say I'm running a couple of lamps and my laptop, and then I go turn on some heavy current device, like a stove or something.
Well,
how's that going to affect it?
Well, let's say that if maximum output of this device is 3 kilowatts, I strongly suggest that you do not use more than 2 kilowatts, because you need to allow time for adjustments and for that peak which is going to happen.
And so, speaking of which, can you show us the compensator circuit on the top there? Or?
Obviously, this is just conceptual, but this I know for a fact, because some other projects I have worked on, that this holds the water in a barrel. I think that's a proper term. Basically, you have one Arduino Uno or Arduino Mega, which you can buy for $30 or less nowadays.
Yeah.
And you can even buy a Ready Steady shield for a DC-DC converter, which can be driven by Arduino. Now, the whole idea is that Arduino measure the voltage, and in a case that he measures a drop in a voltage, he will automatically rise PVM, which means that he's gonna give for DC-DC converter more power in those coils which are driving this wheel.
So that'll keep the frequency from being affected.
Exactly, because what you're gonna achieve in this case, that let's say you switch on your stove, what's gonna happen that with that amount of power coils are receiving, they will be not able to keep on spinning the wheel at that speed. That means that your voltage go down and your frequency will go down. And the beauty of this solution is basically just with very quick adjustment, you can rise the power given to the coils which are driving the spinning wheel, and you are remaining on the same speed, which means that you are remaining on the same frequency with the same voltage, just the amount of current is higher.
Yeah.
Let me explain this one more quite clearly. This device has its limits. If it's designed for 3 kilowatts, it's designed for 3 kilowatts. So basically, you cannot switch 5 kilowatt device and expect it to run. That's impossible. But for everyday usage, this can be, well, your chance to say bye-bye to certain companies. Or let's say that you have some small shed or cabin in the mountains, and instead of having diesel or benzene power generator which drives you nuts, you can have such a device. Not to mention that, well, say in America, you still have quite few of the ranches around, and this would be one quite interesting product for them as well.
So standing alone, would it have to have some sort of reserve, like capacitors or batteries, in order to give that kick to the coils?
Yes, that would be appropriate, or one simple crankshaft which you can use. You can crank it up,
right,
till device gets self-sufficient, which will happen very fast. What's important is that you need to provide 12 volts for Arduino, obviously, so he can drive the circuits. After that, everything is more or less self-governing and self-running.
Cool.
Yeah, another thing, I have tried to make this device as compact as possible with one specific reason. Once the wiring is done, once the flywheel is installed, once you simply put nuts and bolts and press this thing together, and it's a good idea to use some glue as well. Very tiny film of glue would be sufficient. Well, you can use your vacuum cleaner, if nothing else, to suck the air out of it, and with that you're gonna achieve much better efficiency. First of all, you're gonna lose air friction inside of device, which is very real problem in most of the generators, just overlooked. And that's basically what's causing more or less 20%. I'm talking from top of my head, of the heating of the generator. When you have subpressure, basically some kind of vacuum inside, that will not happen, and the magnets will be able much more sufficiently to give their power, or transfer their power, or to induce the coils more sufficiently. So
again, it's
pardon
about
me for saying so. This is my idea, this is my concept, but I really do believe that this is quite interesting concept, which I certainly do hope that some people will try to make themselves. Now I'm gonna hang on my Google Drive all the information about it. I'm gonna put SolidWorks files, I'm gonna put STL files and IGS files, so people who are interested, they can simply have the all schematics, and yeah, they can even send STL files to some company and get that CNC milling. I'm gonna keep on updated with all necessary data as it starts coming in. For example, if we decide that this is gonna be 3 kilowatts, just for example, 3 kilowatts device, then we're gonna need to calculate. Now this is very, very, very precise and very well known science. There's no hocus pocus, there's no abracadabra here, okay? I'm not claiming that something is coming from, I don't know, 0 point energy or from the God himself. No, this is very clever design where I incorporated electromotor and generator to work in one very same construct, and with that I simply achieve much better efficiency. That's all. So whatever we manage to update, for example, once we calculate the size of the coils, how many windings, how many turns it's gonna need to have, what's the gauge of the wire it's gonna need to be, we're gonna post that straight away on my Google Drive. We're gonna post the link in the description down there, so whoever is interested can download it himself. He can contact us, we can have a chat. I'm not saying that I'm 100% right. I'm very open to constructive criticism. Actually, I do welcome it. But my end message over here is, people, let's try to build this shit.
It just so happens that we have in our Electric Universe community, our 2015 inventor has dedicated, 2.5 decades or more of his life to the problem of those very specific parameters for that central generator.
Well, I would be very glad to hear from them, good or bad.
See if I can put you in touch. It's Brian Strom. Maybe
by the way, I have never showed the people how this is supposed to work.
Let's
so
see
basically, I will turn around the axle, which has 4 bearings for improved stability. So once the coils in outer rim are activated with the modulated DC power, it will start spinning in one specific direction. That can be predicted simply by knowing on which side of the coil you're going to put plus, on which side you're going to put minus. So basically that's it, Jack.
I want one of these, when the global economic collapse comes, it's going to be a very handy
yes,
and low cost.
Yeah, okay. Yes, but we are coming to one unavoidable, is that a correct term, or I just invented word?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, unavoidable. Inevitable.
Inevitable, unfortunately. Yeah, it's financials. I mean, this device will require 84 neodymium magnets, 25 millimeters in diameter and 20 millimeters long, 84 of them. The cheapest ones I could find on eBay will cost approximately $400. So basically just getting those magnets will cost you $400. CNC milling is very expensive too, but for prototyping, yeah, it needs to be done later on, most probably. If we create a group big enough which is interested in this, we could mold those 3 biggest parts and basically with a bit bigger production, we could achieve less price for.
Here's a very practical outlook.
Well, I have been electrician and service technician more or less all my life. So it's just a professional deformation, I suppose.
Well, think what you pay even for a Chinese generator that runs on liquid fuel. You're going to pay $600.
Well, depends what power we are talking about. You know, what's your need? I mean, on eBay you can find, yeah, even in Europe you can find them for 200, $300, something capable of 3.5, 4.5 kilowatts. Now the problem
Like,
is that their life expectancy is very, very poor.
right?
Most of the guys I know which got them, well, inverter got burned very soon. They changed it with a better one, and then the windings got burned. And when they try to, to repair them, basically to make the windings again, they found that Chinese are not using a copper wire anymore. They are using aluminum wire instead.
Wow.
Yeah. And look, I have nothing against usage of aluminum wire. Just you cannot use aluminum wire and do the same calculation as you are using copper wire.
No.
I mean, that's one practical field which unfortunately nobody invested in. So yeah, buying cheap Chinese generators, believe me, it's not that good idea anymore. No, it never was. And the worst part is that lots of domestic companies, like in America, like in Switzerland or in Germany, they simply buy those by the numbers, and they just put their sign on, like, we produce this, which is more or less cheating of customers, because they think, okay, if this is produced in my country and I kind of have guarantee, well, must be some quality. Unfortunately, that's not the case.
So it is worth the extra materials to build it right.
Well, if you want to use it for a prolonged period of time, and if you think that you're going to be dependent on it, yes, I would say that's the way to go.
In a perfect world, you could use gold wires, right?
Well, actually, no.
No, silver maybe.
Not even silver, because uh, they're even starting from aluminum, then going to the silver, and then to the gold. You see, they are very good conductors. Basically, that means that the voltage will go very, very fast on their surface, but there is not enough that resistance which actually creates induction, which we need.
Oh, very nice.
You can use golden wire. I mean, set aside the price. In that case, you're gonna need to have your generator spins much, much, much faster. And then comes obviously in a question, okay, what about frequency then, And over here, idea is that we achieve our goal, basically stable voltage with a stable frequency with less RPM as possible.
How different are the standards in Europe for the the standard appliances?
Well, apart that we are using 230 volt in most of the countries in Europe, we are using 50 hertz. There is not that much difference actually. I mean, over here, computer power supplies vary, or certain number of appliances. You can find them with the switch 230, 110 volts. Basically ubiquitous. They can be sold to American and European market without any problem.
And this device also, I imagine it can be isolated totally from the infrastructure network of communications.
Basically, you cut your meter, and yeah, you connect those two wires to the box where you have your fuses, and you're, theoretically speaking, obviously, you're good to go. Or you see, there is yet another possibility, and that let's say that you have a small village, okay, and each one of them has this kind of device, and you leave the network as it is. You just cut the power station from outside. So
yes.
basically, these devices are interconnected between each other. That means that in that case, one house could use even more power at certain points than what their generator is, because they would draw the current from you know, their neighbors without any kind of serious consequences. Basically, they're going to create their own very stable network. Or you
Very
can
nice.
do, or you can, for example, you can do that in a building. You can, for example, create one bigger generator with the 3 phases, and you just, you know, plug it in the mains. So basically, all the flats will receive that power, and it will be much more manageable than, and much more useful actually, and flexible than everybody has his own.
I do like the idea of decentralized, you know, off-grid survival.
Free of charge. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. I mean, over here, you really have one-time investment, basically, either buying from somebody who's going to start producing those, or making it yourself. I mean, the motor and the generator inside are designed in such way that apart from bearings, there is no other wear and tear. Electronics up there are used only to control driving coil, let's call it that. They have nothing to do with the mains, right? So basically, you don't need some powerful inverters, which are very expensive.
Right.
Basically, you have just one very, very basic and very simple and very cheap controlling circuit. It can be self-driven, supply over bridge rectifier and Zener diode can be dropped down to 12 volts, which is needed to run Arduino and processor logic. Yeah, and that's it. Basically, that's it. With that 12 volts, or hell, you can use even use those that 110 DC. You just PVM it. You can lower it down. You can make it high, and with that, you basically calculating. I'm sorry. You are manipulating the speed and the force, the torque. Very
Yeah,
simple written logic will simply drive that and keep it always in some balance, basically the voltage you need and the frequency you need.
you know, I'm not very educated in the practical engineering side of things, but I've had enough, you know, of the AC/DC linear circuits, you know, RLC, that I've completely followed what you're talking about here.
Okay.
I hope it's this accessible to your average. Well, I think anybody watching this would be.
Yeah. I would
I think they
like
have that.
I would like to show you yet another video. It's
Let's do it.
hopefully from my friend called Luke. Now, seriously, I dare not to pronounce his surname because it's French. So, Choquette.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, you see over here. What do you have? You have a magnetic core which is saturated with permanent magnets from the side, and this makes this electromagnetic coil so efficient with a ridiculously tiny amount of energy. I mean, less than half of the watt he is able to move the coil, which is approximately 1 pound, half kilo, left and right, effortlessly, without bearings even.
Wow.
Yeah, there you are. Now I'm gonna make a full screen. You see, this coil, that's more than half a kilo actually, and the power he's using over here is less actually than half volt. The efficiency comes, the power induced in this coil, because you see these huge neodymium magnets left and right. They are saturating this ferromagnetic material core here, and with that the repulsive force is getting multiplied. Seriously, I don't know how many times, but at least 10 times, if not much more than that. And by the way, I'm gonna use this chance to thanks Luke. I spoke with the guy, he was very forthcoming, he's open source guy, just like me. I asked him, can I use your ideas? And he said, hey, that's why I put them on the internet.
All right.
So kudos to Luke and all the others who helped in this project till now. Yeah, yet another video. Now this is a bit different concept. You see, over here you have one very simple pulsing generator which creates a tone pulse generator. Okay. Now, if you connect output of the generator to a very tiny speaker, let me just try to go to that part when he do that. He's actually able to drive in piston kind of fashion this device with insanely amount of energy.
You showed me this one.
Insanely tiny amount of energy. Just over here, the principle is something completely different. Over here, you're using electricity to basically diminish magnetic flux of one permanent magnet on one side. Now, Art Porter, gappower.com, people go there, see all the videos. He started this.
So he interrupts the circuit, and a work is done as the weight falls, and then he
closes
the circuit.
no. You you put the power into the circuit, and basically it destroys or collapses basically one field from permanent magnet. So it allows the other magnet to come very close. So what's gonna happen when you cut the power? You have back EMF, which is kicking like a mule, and plus the permanent magnet flux comes back, and that's where efficiency is really comes from. Now I'm gonna switch on now the sound.
Okay.
It's in German, so now you need to hear this. That's the power. That's driving this very, very small speaker over there. Now, if this is not breaking a law of conservation, I do not know what breaking law of conservation really means in classical terms. This is just a clever way of using our knowledge. There, no law is broken here. None whatsoever.
Oh, it's brilliant. I've actually seen this video.
And you have proof of the concept over here. Very visible, very reproducible. You can find I don't know how many videos from different persons on this subject. And let's say that you have very old Dodge which runs on gasoline, right?
Yes.
Imagine that you install something very similar like this into the pistons.
Ah.
Just imagine that.
I'm imagining it very strongly.
Well, hopefully someone who has car which he does not need anymore, or has a motor problems like engine block is gone or leaking oil, well, actually he could try something like this, and he would really surprise how that can work, because you see, very, very tiny amount of energy is involved in each explosion in that chamber which drives the pistons. Just it happens very often. RPM for the cars goes up to the 4,000, I believe, the good cars. So basically you are repeating and you're having a very high number of revolution, which is obviously over the gearbox lowered, and with that, from high velocity, you're having higher torque. What I'm saying that more or less any car which runs on a gasoline, theoretically, obviously, with very little investment, can be converted to an electric car which does not even need recharging its own battery.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
We call this the Electric Universe land boat, and I'll take it around all 50 states, me and Honky, and promote it. We'll take an old Volkswagen van or something and convert it.
Yeah, that would be appropriate, but if you can find one 50 years old to be a real hippie one, right?
Yeah. Be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I imagine the face of the policeman on the road. The van is coming and he hears literally nothing.
Right.
Those vans are very, very noisy. It would be like a ghost just passing next to him.
Man, that is funny.
Yeah. Or imagine in Europe, look, in Europe, every now and then you're obliged by the force to take your car to those companies which are checking gas emissions, brakes, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I do not know. Do you have that in America, actually?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Imagine that you bring this converted car to them. And he tries to measure the amount of CO2 coming out of. Can you imagine that guy's face when he realizing that actually nothing comes out of exhaust?
We film it and put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
That would make a great video, go viral.
You see, Jack, it's actually very, very easy to change some things on this world. But people do need really to realize they need to change themselves first and stop thinking only for themselves. I know that I sound a bit, but seriously, that's how it is. I mean, what the hell I'm gonna do with this concept, because I do not have neither good conditions, neither enough money to make it. Shall I keep it for myself till I die?
No.
So give it away. Hopefully something will come back to you.
I don't doubt it. I happen to believe that transcendence and the transcendent are very real things, and at the very foundation of our being.
Okay.
And
So
this sort of thing, it could change the world.
so the plan for this motor generator basically is, first find a bunch of the guys to calculate proper values for the coils. When we have that, well, we're gonna upload it, obviously, and people would be able to download those informations too, so they can basically try to build it themselves. And yet another thing, I do plan to post my PayPal me. I think that's so. If anybody does not need those in emergency, those $5, you can donate it, or simply there's gonna be a link. Buy me a couple of those magnets and send me by the post. Thank you very much indeed.
Igor, if there's any links you'd like to share right now, you can in the group chat window, and I can go and then add those to the YouTube, to my YouTube channel, so people can find you and find your Google Drive and your plans and everything.
Okay, just
if you notice, there's in the upper left, there's a little chat button, and you'll see there's a chat messenger.
I just need to go to my Google Drive to get shareable link.
Okay, you're still screen sharing, just so you know.
So anybody can view, public, very good indeed. So basically,
you see there in your upper left.
Well, chat. Over me here, it's already open. It's on.
There it is. There it is. Got it.
Okay, so I'm gonna give my email as well.
I'm gonna copy this right now and take it over to my YouTube channel.
Okay, and obviously a Facebook. We do need to have Facebook, right?
Right.
Yeah, so whoever wants to know more about it for whatever reason, send me an email or find me on Facebook, send me a message there so we can talk.
I'm not sure I did this right. I may have to do this after we stop.
Yeah. Okay,
Interrupted.
so we
Yeah,
can
we're still
basically wrap it up now, right?
Yes, sir. Possibly we could do a part 3 in the future. A couple of people that might be interested to see this, I'll private message a link to them on Facebook.
Well, just in case, I'm gonna later on download it from your channel. I'm gonna upload it to my channel, just in case.
For sure.
And yeah, I strongly encourage people, download the files, download this video, reshare it as your own. I don't give a damn. Just let's spread the word. Let's try to do something serious for all of us. That's what that's the only thing what I'm saying.
Amen, brother.
Amen and hallelujah.
Ha. So I have the idea that you have other concepts, like your seed planting machine. How presentable are those?
Well, at this moment, we are still producing parts for it, and we are doing some prototyping, but we are very low on budget. So hopefully, till next season, next spring, we're gonna be ready with it. No-till system is, after all, the system of the future. No doubt about it in my mind.
Can you just briefly tell us what it is?
Well, imagine that you have a field with the grass, just naturally growing grass, and let's say that it's something like achieved half of the meter height, okay? You roll down that grass, you cut the channel with the rotary cutter. There is the part which opens the channel slightly, puts the seed inside, and channel closes almost by itself. We calculated that you can save something like 70% in money, in work hour, in machines. You don't need to use chemicals in the field because you are creating nutritious things on the field. You basically that grass will start rotting in lower parts, and you're gonna create humus directly in your field. The grass as well is keeping, not only that it's keeping water moist down there, but during the night, water which is condensated gets into that grass, and part of it gets down into the earth. So let me put it this way: drought, it's not that much of your concern in this case. Basically, you don't need stupendous amounts of water, only that your field survive. Imagine this system, for example, being used in California.
Ah, good point.
And I mean, you are saving 70% of everything, and in return, you are getting 100% organic product. Extra bonus is that you don't have all those type of problems you have with monocultures. I mean, when you have field only with corn, right? It's rather
Right.
obvious that you're gonna have some kind of bugs or parasite which thrives only on corn, because there is nothing else around it, and there some other insects, for example, are not coming there. There is nobody to fight them for territory, and basically there's no equilibrium. So you're gonna have explosions of those pests, And then you obviously need to use shitload of chemicals to save your crops. And actually what you achieve with that you have one very, very unhealthy product.
Hey, so you want to stop screen sharing so we can see your icon? Because all we can see right now is my cat.
It's a nice cat. What do you have against it?
He is a nice cat. It's a very old cat. He's a bodhisattva in the samsara.
Okay. By
There
the
you
way,
go. And
that's
there you
Kiki.
are. That's your rabbit.
That's Kiki.
Kiki. Well, give Kiki my love.
Well, God bless his furry soul. You're gonna wait a bit so I can, deliver that message. Hopefully you're gonna wait a long, long time. He had an accident, let's put it that way.
He looks kind of gray in there.
That's his fur actually is kind of black grayish on the top. And in the winter he used to change color. He was more whitish.
I had a couple of rabbits in my 20s. They're great pets. They really are.
Okay, but shall we leave this for some other time? Because I suppose
Yes,
now
of course,
we're gonna start boring people.
Not me, but of course, yeah. It's great talking to you, Igor. So let's wrap it up, and
As
hopefully we'll
usual.
go through a part 3, maybe just another kind of bullshit session, like not that it was bullshit, but just a general topic talk in another week.
Recently, I had a very interesting chat with a guy from Australia and the guy from Canada about pharmacy, about antidepressants, and incredibly enough, I'm here in Switzerland. One is in Australia, one is Canada, and exactly same shit happens everywhere. Like somebody, yeah.
I'm going to send you a link to a very, very good talk from the Observing the Frontier conference here in Albuquerque. Teen conference is outstanding.
Well,
and that's all on the
gather those people, get Joshua, get Neil Thompson, for example, a couple other guys, and make live session about that subject, because
I love
people really need to know that antidepressant is not that naive subject at all.
Oh yeah, he does it all: the monoculture, the food, the geoengineering, besides the he covers it all. I can't think of his name offhand, but he gave an outstanding presentation. As I said at this year's conference, the Observers conference.
It would be good that we gather people from more or less whole planet and compare,
Excellent.
our stories. Let's do that next time.
Okay, I'll send you a link in Facebook private.
Yeah, please do.
Igor, thank you for your time. I'll see if I can get the window up here.
Okay, bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. And that was Igor.